Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Quantum Alignment Show. Today, I'm going to be going over 3 keys to aligning with trust and love. So what that looks like is you're going to learn how fear impacts your ability to trust and love. We're also going to look at the transcending energies that impact you and then tap into the higher expression of the fear gates. So really to dive into trusting and loving yourself, and also seeing how the fear really comes in to impact. So the goal, what I want you to be recognizing as the goal today and moving forward, is to allow your current fears to really be transcended into this trust, love, and higher consciousness. My name is Alana Heim, and I get to be your guest host, and I have been on the Quantum Alignment Show before. It's been a little while. I am a quantum alignment system practitioner, level 3, and I'm also a level 4 human design specialist. I am a 1-3 emotional projector. So I love to teach, I love to guide, and I'm so grateful to be here, being the lead on talking about this topic and helping you to transcend and align with trust and love. So my background came from being a CPA. I played with numbers forever. I'm an accountant by trade and a financial planner. And what I realized is that a lot of the time, my clients were struggling with trust, right? Fear would come in their business, and it would also then leak into their personal life. So if a business was struggling, or if they were personally struggling in some way financially, these fears would come up and hold them back from their potential, from seeing that maybe they were out of alignment, they weren't living according to who they really are. And I saw this for myself as well. There was a fear of jumping out and starting a business. And every day I get to come up against fear of what if it doesn't work? And what if I'm not trusting myself, right? There's this inner alignment that we each have. And for me, it's, yes, I have all this insight, but I'm also this emotional being, and I do have willpower. And as a projector, I've really had to learn to trust, and I'm still learning how to trust myself, trust that I am supported by people who are going to bring up opportunities or invitations to me, people who are here to see me, and also trusting that the universe are bringing those opportunities to me. And so this is something that we often can struggle with and think, well, it sounds easy to trust and love, but let's be realistic. It's not always easy when everything around us is spreading more and more fear. It's kind of the old ways of the systems that we're learning to transcend or transform. And we've got to get up, go against those systems and start to change. And it starts within here. So today, that's what I really want to help you with, is learn to align with your sense of trust, trusting yourself, trusting humanity, trusting the universe, right? It's a big task to undertake. And if we haven't explored that for most of our life, it's a brand new task to take on. So the first key I want to talk about is, let's acknowledge fear gets in the way. So we want to transcend fear. The goal is to get to this trust, love, and higher consciousness, but fear gets in the way. And so what that looks like when you have your human design chart, we know that the spleen center is the center where fear lives. And fear can kind of leak out into the other aspects of your life. And so there is this strong intuition, this gift that you have to be very instinctive. And our physical body needed this. It needed this system to be able to survive. And that's why it's been there for as long as we can remember. But we've somehow forgotten that it is not the only way of being. And it no longer serves us in the way of having a chronic fear or a chronic instinctive way of trying to survive everywhere we go. We've evolved. Humanity has evolved, and we're still evolving. So there's a sense of time here. The physical body comes into play, and this is where we see disease start to come in. And the more we live in fear, the more that our body may be affected in some way. So there is great awareness in the moment. That's the gift. And if you have a splenic authority, meaning you make decisions in the moment, you get that instinctive hit inside of you that you listen to, and it steers you right. It's when we stop listening or we start thinking that it's there all the time when it's really not. So it's important to recognize the spleen center having this really big, important piece, but that it doesn't have to control and dictate your life. So when we go deeper into the center, we're looking at these 7 gates. And when we're talking about fear, there are fear energies that are kind of wrapped into these particular gates. And I want you to also know that every fall, the sun goes into the position and activates these 7 energies. And so starting September 27th through November 5th of this year, we're going to be experiencing all 7 of these energies that come into play. So I've listed them according to how they are going to be transiting, and which one happens first is the gate 18. So this is where we can fear that we're not perfect, right? We're afraid we're going to get it wrong, we're not going to do it right, that we are this imperfect being. But what does perfect look like, right? This is an energy that really has to do with more about process and not necessarily people. But we've internalized it and we've turned it around to look at the person or ourself as being imperfect. And I want you to just start to notice that this is a gift in itself, to be able to notice what's not working and for us to be able to start to change that. So the gate 48, this is the fear of inadequacy. This is where you might be telling yourself, I'm not good enough. I don't know enough. I'm not able. I can't do this. I need more, right? That this inadequacy piece will have you wanting to learn more and more, or to not quite take action because you always feel like you're not yet ready. The gate 57, this is the fear of the future. And this is a very intuitive gate. And so in this gate, you do have the ability to see the future, but when we're not necessarily trusting that what we're seeing is the future, and we're not necessarily prepared for it, we can start to be afraid of it. And we're afraid of the unknown. And maybe there's a part of you that wants to leap forward, but you don't necessarily like change and you don't know what's to come, and that scares you. So this energy can play into that. The fear of failing is this gate 32, and this is fear of failure. And thinking that if I get out there, if I put myself out there, what if I fail? What if I don't succeed? And this is where you really get to wait for right timing to be able to start moving towards that particular goal or whatever it may be, and trusting that you're going to be able to make it happen. And we always want it to happen the first time. And if you're experimental, you know that that's not the case, right? There are so many inventors who didn't invent their great invention the very first time around. It took them hundreds, if not thousands, of different ways of tweaking until they got it right. And so there is a blessing that comes through, right? Of failure can help you to see what does work, to help you to get closer to succeeding. The gate 50 is where we can feel like we're failing others or our responsibility. So if you have a family, and this is a tribal energy, and you feel like you have to take care of your family and you can't quit your job because what if you can't pay the bills, and who's going to take care of your family, and what if you let them down? All of these kind of fears and thoughts can come into play. The gate 28, this is fear of things being hard, life having no meaning, maybe that you're just here to struggle. And so if you're constantly questioning, what is the point of this? Why am I here? What am I doing? Then this is a fear that even can break down to the very bottom of, you're afraid of dying. And maybe it was all hard and it was all for nothing, and what was the point of this life? This has deep-rooted meaning that you're searching for and really wanting to understand. And this fear can also hold you back, right? Like if you're stuck in, what's the point of this? You might not get out and share your message or effect the change that you really want to. The gate 44 is the fear of the past. So over here, this gate is where you have already lived through a certain experience, and now you're afraid that same experience is going to happen over and over. And what's the point of trying this when I've already done it before and I failed, or it didn't work? And so you get lost in that past energy and thinking that there is no rewriting the story. But that's where we're going to talk a little bit more of, there's always a way to rewrite the story, and there's always an opportunity for you to recognize that it's not always going to be the same. It doesn't have to be, and you have choice there. So these fear energies are really important. And so if you have them defined, you may feel them more consistently. If you have them white or undefined, you're really going to be able to feel others' fears and feel this energy for you to inconsistently experience or explore. And so I implore you to just recognize and acknowledge this fear, and even maybe get curious around, is this my fear? You know, maybe you have the 57 defined, but the 44 undefined, and it really resonates that you're afraid of the past. You may have been around family, friends, other people who had those energies, and it was around you so much that it became almost like it was part of you. So I just want you to recognize that some of these fears you're going to feel because they are part of you, but they don't have to be, and we can still let those go. So what fear is holding you back, right? Depending on your chart, depending on where you are right now in this moment, what energies are kind of coming up. And again, fear can show up in how you're feeling inside of yourself. It could be the thoughts that you have. It may even be the conversation you have with yourself, consciously or unconsciously. But I just want to know, and if you are in the Facebook group right now, or if you're live with us, then go ahead and post and just share what fear is coming up, and we can talk a little bit about it, or see what your situation is. So I want you to know that these fear energies are coming. And I mentioned that the sun activates all 7. But I wanted to give you a picture of, okay, here's the spleen, and here's what the mandala looks like. And here are the energies that are coming, starting with the 18 and going through the 44, as I talked about. But it's not just the sun that's activating. So we also have Mercury that starts next week. Mercury's moving into the same positioning. We have Venus that's also activating these energies, and Mars is coming in October. So there are 4 different planetary energies that are moving through these gates that are going to be igniting, let's say, the energies and having it rain down upon us. Not just you, not just me, everybody. And so there will be this energy that will influence you. It won't change your design, but you will feel the energy. And depending on how closely you do feel the transiting energy of the planets, then these may have impact on you during September through December. So I just want to let you know what's coming, so you have that idea. And to paint a different picture, looking in the human design chart, today, right now, there are no fear gate activations. So the spleen is wide open, right? If there aren't a lot of fears that are coming up for you, it may be because you're actually in a pretty good place. You don't have this extra influence from the planets. You just have your own design and the designs of the people that are around you. I have one comment. I have a fear of not being able to support myself and my child. Fear of failing, fear of not making something of myself, fear that I am stuck in this place I'm at forever. I'm a reflector. And you are not your fear. And you are the reflection of the world around you. And so this really is going to be indicative of, you may have a couple hanging gates off the spleen, but who are the people around you that are carrying these fears that have leaked into your beingness and you feeling like they belong to you or they're yours? Because the key here is for us to really recognize the energy. Let's acknowledge it first, and then we're going to start to work to shift it and let it go.
We did have a comment coming on Facebook.
Okay.
Amy says, I'm mostly afraid of my purpose. Thoughts, when will I ever be happy? Am I missing my chances? The future?
So you're afraid you don't have a purpose? Was that the main piece?
Well, that was the first part.
Okay.
And then, the future, will she ever be happy? And, the future. That's Amy. And now I'm getting more comments on Facebook, and you got another comment on, nope,
Okay.
That's the same one on Zoom.
Okay, so the reflector says I have the 48, the 44, the 18, and the 28 hanging. I'm also afraid of the anger that shows itself recently. And that anger isn't necessarily yours, right? But this is the energy that we all start to feel, and we all do feel. And I want you to just have this awareness, because if you're feeling it, the rest of the world around you is probably feeling it. And we can have more and more compassion to understand that we're all in this same place, and we all really want a different way of being and a different story, and that we get to really be together and help each other, especially right now, right? Like, you're not alone, and there's somebody else questioning, will I ever be happy? And do I have a purpose? And for you, Amy, of course you can be happy, and it's a choice. And it may feel like it's so impossible, and the world is so heavy and there's so much going on. But this is part of the experience. And the blessing that comes through the fear is that it's showing you what needs to change. It's very similar to any of the energies where there's just this duality, right? Right now I'm talking to you about fear versus trust. And we want to be on the trust side, but we still kind of live in fear. But what does that look like? What do we want it to look like? And I'm going to keep going in this presentation to give you some more tips to help you start to feel the difference and shift the difference. Because some of it is the energy stuck in you. Some of it is part of the mind, and how all of that energy gets all entangled in thinking, I can't be happy, or that isn't for me.
We did have 4 more comments coming on Facebook. Do you want to those or go through your presentation more?
Yeah, I can go a little further, so I can wrap out this first key, and then I've got just a couple more slides. And really what I want to show you is that as the transits happen, right, as the planets are moving, these energies are coming in and going out, and they can have impact and influence. And so even for Jamie, who's the reflector, right, she's got some hanging gates, and right now there aren't actual spleen gates activated, but there are some of the electromagnetics or the other sides that may be happening. So she has the 28 hanging, and with the 38 activated right now today, you're feeling this root energy and the spleen energy. And so even though you're a reflector, you're feeling the impact of what the planets are bringing you through this transiting channel. And right now it feels like you have root, and right now it feels like you have this spleen. And so that whole channel, the 2838, really has to do with that struggle of you know, what's the point and where am I in this life and why does it feel so hard? So some of these fears can be coming up and being activated more strongly based on these different energies. And just in a month, you know, starting in October, we start getting those activations that I mentioned. And so we've got the sun that's going to be activating the gate 57, and this is just looking at October 10th. We have Mercury that's going to be activating the gate 44, Venus activating the 28, and then Mars activating the gate 18. And so for some of those energies that you may already have, right, it just may add an extra layer of feeling it a little bit more intensely, but it's just energy. And it's just energy to help bring you to this awareness to question and ask and notice, where am I thinking I'm going to get stuck moving forward because I don't trust the future, or that I don't trust the past and I think that I'm going to get stuck in the past and the same thing's going to happen, or that life has no meaning. So what's the point? Like, why should I even take action? And if I do take action, I'm just going to get it wrong. I'm not going to get it perfect. So all of these fears can come up. And that's why I really want you to just have this awareness, know what's coming. And again, we don't have to be afraid, right? This is the part of knowing the future. And I love human design for this, because right now we're looking at the future. We know what's coming. Now we can prepare for it. We don't have to feel so scared about it per se. Now I do have this transiting guide, and I can share that after class, or I'll make sure that Cindy can post it. I have this guide that I've created, and I'm giving a free copy of just September. But this is a great way to look at the calendar, see the future, and know, oh my gosh, this is what's coming. You know, here are the activations that the sun and Mercury and Venus are going to have in the month of September. And then it starts getting kind of crazy in October and November, because we still have these different energies that are transiting. So I see that Michelle said, I'm a manifesting generator and feeling like I am doing really good with my business in terms of just being me. But I notice I get stuck with fear that the same thing is going to happen when I go to launch my program. How could I move through this instead of feeling afraid of it? So this is where it's all brand new and it's kind of scary. And I don't know more parts of your chart, like if you are a line 4, or if there's other parts of you that just like stability and doesn't necessarily like change. But there is an excitement that you can tap into, right? Because when you're in business, the goal and the key is you're here to be of service. And the more you can trust that you are doing this, okay, she says I'm a 1-4. So of course there's this part of you that loves stability, doesn't like change. And I just want you to recognize that being in business, this is a really big piece for you evolving your soul's journey, because to be of service means that you're here to lead. And when you're leading from your heart and you are trusting that the right people are going to see your program, the right people are going to find you, that's how you stay out of fear. But the more you keep thinking, what if no one signs up? What if no one signs up? You're sending that message to the universe, basically saying, don't let anybody show up. And it's the hardest thing. But that's where, when you already have this awareness and you're acknowledging fear is there, now we can start to look at it a little bit differently, and we can start to shift it. And so that's what I really want to share with you right now, to understand what's coming, to give you this guide and let you know that I'm going to tell you more about my What's Fear Got to Do With It program a little bit later, because these are the things that we are already can struggle with depending on our chart. But then when the energies come in and influence, it's that much more powerful, and sometimes we start getting even more lost in the fear. And I really want us to be able to shift and transcend that. So she said the line 48 and 18 are highlighted, but I don't know what that means. Okay, so that just means that you have those two fear gates consistently. The inadequacy is the fear of inadequacy is the gate 48, and then fear of imperfection is the gate 18. And so Cindy, did you have other questions or
well, I had a question, A general question from Pam. Having so many planets activating these gates at this time of year, does this happen annually or only the sun activations?
The sun every year in the fall, but Mercury, Venus, and Mars are not necessarily every year. I know looking ahead in next year, there's a tail end. So it just depends on the cycle and how it ends up, being in the same positioning as, let's say, the sun. We also have Earth activation in the spring. So that happens where, because the sun and the earth are in pair, they kind of move together in tandem. When the sun activates in the fall, that means in the spring we're going to have the earth activating these gates. But we will not have Mercury and Mars and Venus activating at the same time. So we always have twice a year this transiting fear energy, but these faster moving kind of planets, Mars and Mercury and Venus, these ones don't always happen at the same time, but they definitely happen at least each year.
Okay, on Facebook, Sue said, I'm afraid of posting a comment that's too personal for a public forum like this. I just want you to know that what you're sharing is shedding some light on a situation that has been ripening for the past 50 years. Good timing on a rare Friday the 13th full harvest moon. Harvest time.
Right, yes.
Okay, and then Paige went on to say, I experience fear of what can I possibly do as an individual to heal myself, the planet, in such a big toxic system going on, if it's all around meaning and why I may be okay. Is there anything to facilitate a fear dialogue?
And is the fear dialogue, I'm assuming that means for her to have with others? Or within herself?
Maybe both, because her first part of the question said, what can I possibly do as an individual to heal myself and the planet in such a big toxic system?
And that's why you're here, right? That's why I really wanted to speak about this, because more and more I'm recognizing as a projector, I'm here to cleanse the planet. And I know we're awakening, and I know that we're all evolving to this next level, which means our consciousness is shifting. And one of the biggest reasons that we're, let's just say, feeling stuck and toxic and in all this negative old ways of being is because fear is still the limiter and fear is still holding us back. So that's why I really want to share more of this second key, change your vibration. And we're going to start to also move into some of the higher qualities of these fear gates, right? Just because there's fear in the chart doesn't mean it controls the chart. And there's always another way to express from a higher place, a higher vibration. Did you have any other questions or comments? Okay.
There's lots of thank yous. Sue's a projector. And the only other comment I had was Linda on Facebook said she has the fear of her past because she's working with a hanging red gate on 44.
Okay. Yep. So that's a little bit more unconscious. And again, when you're looking at your chart, if it's black, colored in black, it just means that that's more of your conscious aspect and really kind of a lot more to do with your soul's purpose. And then when you're looking at the coloring that's red, that's the unconscious aspect of yourself. And that's more of the life purpose. And you could have it both. And if it's white, it just means you're going to experience that energy inconsistently from the rest of the world. And that helps you to begin to know what it feels like, that you can also, right, protect yourself or ensure that, okay, I feel your fear. That's not my fear. I don't need that. But I understand what you're going through. I know what you're feeling. And that's how you can also start to shift the energy and help people when you feel them in fear. I feel like I was going to say one more thing about the conscious and unconscious. Anyway, if you have questions about that, yes, what if it's black and red stripe? That just means you have both. So it's both red and black. It's both conscious and unconscious. And the other piece I was going to add is depending on the planet that activates it can bring in another level of depth to how you experience that energy if it's in your chart. So again, as we're looking at these transits that are coming through, there's different meanings and different ways of understanding these planets and how they activate, how they bring that influence to your life. So again, I don't have your charts to be able to really look, but that just adds another depth for you to be able to explore and understand how these energies really impact you personally and how you may view and understand how they begin to impact the world around you as well. So key number 2, change your vibration, right? Sounds like easy, but when we have fear affecting everybody, right? It's all just energy, but it is there and it is going to affect you individually. It will affect the tribe, and that's your loved ones, your community, your family. The collective side is everybody, all of humanity, all of the systems, Mother Earth. And we already know that fear affects animals. You can see it in their behavior. It's how if you were to go out into the forest, they actually can sense you before you see them or sense them, because their awareness is so attuned, especially to the frequency of fear. And this is why when you're around certain animals, if you're afraid of them, they know it. We have that same ability. And I want you to start recognizing the fear, right? Recognize that frequency of energy and notice it, because it actually is a very low vibration. It's not one that's going to help us to raise consciousness and shift the universe. But we get to rise above fear, right? We don't have to be stuck and lost in fear. There's always that choice to keep calm and rise above. So when we're looking at the frequency, fear is rated at 100. It's very low. So when we live in that energy, right, in that frequency, we're not as close to love and trust and higher consciousness. And if the goal is to begin removing and cleansing those toxicities and letting go of fear so we can all begin to ascend and have this higher consciousness and ascend with Mother Earth and shift the way of beingness for the planet through humanity, it's time that we really have to let this go. We can't live from this place anymore. And more, I feel that and I recognize that, and I have an undefined spleen. And so the more in alignment I am with myself, the more I can feel others' fears. It's one of the things that I notice the most, especially when I'm with clients. And I can really feel it and know that it's theirs. It's not mine. And I don't have to let that energy seep into mine, if you know what I mean, right? I can kind of protect myself. So we can start to shift this frequency and align with love and trust will already bring up this consciousness, and it will help us individually and tribally and collectively. So when you're here to transcend fear, right, we're moving from fear to faith. We're beginning to really trust, because the more we're afraid of dis-ease, the more it manifests in the body, right? And all of our systems are chock full of fear. And that's why all of our systems are all crumbling, right? We're feeling it and recognizing this doesn't serve us anymore. The way that medicine works and constantly putting you into the fear of dying, and that if you don't take action or if you don't do XYZ, you're going to die. It's the same thing in the financial system, right? If you don't invest or if you don't do XYZ with your money, you're going to not have any money. Or in business, the fear tactics across the board, everywhere you go in the media and with advertising, it's constantly buy this now, go get this, or else you'll miss out, or you won't be able to get it. And, you know, it's just all of this fear-based tactics, all of these scarcity mindset ways of being that are coming from that lower vibrational place. And there's so many of us recognizing it doesn't work anymore, right? Politics is always bashing each other and putting you in a place of fear and telling you to vote for something or against something, because if you don't, you know, the worst is going to happen. And we're seeing we can't live like this anymore. And the more that we can trust that we're in this place of well-being, right? That we are filled with love and we are supported and we begin to support each other, the more those old tactics fall away and you can see them and hear them so clearly and you don't have to play into their hands anymore, right? The more you get on social media or you just start to see that lower vibration, once you're through it, right? Once you've risen above, you're not going to go back there. And we each can help each other rise up, right? So that we aren't stuck down there anymore. And there's going to be some of us that we leave behind, or maybe they come back and catch up. But to shift, it all starts here. And the more you begin trusting and loving and choosing this, others will see it too. And they'll want to know, what are you doing? What has changed, right? How can I have more of what you have? And that's why more and more you do see the frequency of love, and everyone's spreading the message of love, because it is that higher vibration that is needed on the planet right now for all of us to shift and to let go of these old systems, to let them crumble so we can rebuild again. So changing the vibration is so huge. And so when we're looking at human design, I want you to see the higher expression, right? The spleen is instinctive. These are instinctive gates. So yes, fear can keep you stuck and keep you in that lower vibration and thinking the worst case scenario, because that's how we've been taught and that's, how we've been conditioned. But there is still duality here on the planet. And the other side is the love and trust, and to be tapping into those higher expressions. So for example, for the gate 18, right? When you are so afraid that you're going to get it wrong and not be perfect, I want you to recognize that you are improving. You are changing and affecting the change because you're improving the process. You're giving feedback. You're not just criticizing. You're giving this really constructive feedback to help improve the process. And you just constantly can see what's not working. So if you know what's not working, now you have a direction. Now you know how to help people improve and get things working. So for all these old crumbling systems, right, they're not working. What is it that's not working? Let's change that. That's how we start to really stand in that higher vibration and begin recognizing that you can be perfectly imperfect and you're learning every step of the way. And that's part of this logical system, is the repetition, right, to help you understand and learn and to change the old ways, but you're improving. Just in the same regard as the gate 48, the fear of inadequacy is you've learned and studied, and maybe there's this part of you that's like, I can't get out there, but you have such depth. You have so much depth of wisdom and knowledge and maybe mastery in the way you've done it over and over, and you've been learning, and that's the message that needs to come out. Because it's just like I ran a half marathon, and what the group always said was, you're still doing more than most people on the planet, or even if you go run a little, every step to get to a half marathon, you're choosing to run, and that's still than most people do. So you have this depth of knowledge that most people do not have. And even though you think you don't know enough and you need to know more, you already know more than most people. So why not get out and share it, right? That's how you start to transcend the fear, but you also start to change the planet. You begin helping, you bring information to light that most people don't have. Fear of the future is that, yes, you are very intuitive. You have this ability to see. And once you trust that what you see is coming, you can prepare for it, and you can help others to prepare for it. So the scariest thing is sometimes we get lost in our mind thinking, oh my gosh, I just saw the future and it's awful. But we never have the whole picture, and right now everyone gets so afraid of what if the planet is going to be destroyed. But Mother Earth is another entity, another creation, another consciousness. We all evolve. We all die and live and are reborn. And so why wouldn't it be possible for Mother Earth to do the same? So even if someone's had a premonition of the world ending, right, who's not to say there's another planet that's already evolved or another something that you couldn't see? And yes, you see the future, you know what may be coming, but let's prepare, let's help evolve consciously so that we get to this new oasis of a Mother Earth or whatever that may be. But instead we get stuck in fear of, oh my gosh, it's just going to end, I should stop now. I want you to recognize the intuition is a gift, and you have the ability to help others prepare for that moment. The gate 32, fear of failing, is you have this endurance. You can keep going. And guess what? When you really look over your life, for every time that you felt like you failed, you probably didn't give up. You kept going. And having that ability to endure the failure and get right back up and go at it again, right? Not everybody has that, but that's a gift, right? You will keep going. And I want you to tap into that higher energy and to see that even when you're afraid of failing, that you already know there is no room for failure. You're just going to keep going. That's the blessing, right? That's that really big, powerful piece. The gate 50, fear of failing others. This is all about value and knowing your values in the way of what are your priorities in life. Because when you really sit down to figure out what those are, you're going to align with them to the point where you're not going to fail your family. If your family is number one, you will do everything that relates to them. But if you find that you have all these other tasks and priorities and things on your plate that actually don't align with who you are and the values you hold, you're not spending your time or your energy wisely. And of course, you're going to be spread too thin and you're going to have given up everything that you had and not held true to the values. But the more you do really listen to what's important to you, you're not going to let them down. You won't fail your responsibility. You will actually be more stronger and more energetically aligned because you'll have gotten rid of all the stuff that truly wasn't important. The gate 28, there's this higher expression of tenacity, right? Even when it feels hard and it feels like there's a struggle, it's that same piece where you'll just keep fighting, let's say, and you'll just keep going through the experience to have the blessing come through, to learn through the experience and be able to affect change through the experience, to help share that in the world. And recognize it's not fear. Yes, there's going to be struggle. Yes, I can endure it and I can just really take hold and be tenacious and keep fighting, keep going until I really understand this meaning and this purpose and that I'm living it, right? Instead of being afraid of that you're not living it, you start to really live it and step into that. So then the gate 44, fear of the past, there's this alertness, right? There's this huge power in patterns and you're super alert to the instinct that comes through to know if it feels like it's going to be the past. But you have the wherewithal and the alertness to also know what's different. And this isn't the same, which means what I did last time was this, but I'm changing course, which means you've already effectively changed the past. You're not living it the same. And you know what that looks like. And the more alert and in tune to that instinct, the more you're going to be on a different course. You're not going to repeat the past because you're going to be aware of when you were going down that same road and you got to take the fork and go the other direction. So all of these energies are within the same spleen, within these same gates. There's always the duality of, are you in a lower vibration or are you in a higher vibration? And the more that you recognize where you are, you get to then move in a different direction. Fear is a liar. So remember that. It keeps you stuck. It's a lower vibration, right? When you're trusting anything and everything's possible. You're connected to source. You really get the downloads, the inspiration, whatever it is. When you're down with fear, you're in that illusion, or you're stuck and thinking there is no hope, there is no possibility. And everything is on the other side of fear is really what you want. So it's just the same as when, for example, Michelle, who says she's starting this launch of her program, right? The fear is like, oh my gosh, I've created all this and now I have to launch it, right? She's right on that bubble. But as soon as you push through and she launches, then she's just right into the same action of going through the motion, getting it out there, doing whatever it may be. Sure, there could still be some fears, but every time she is going up against it, she's ensuring, right, that she's moving through the fear and it's not holding her back. She's taking action. She's trusting. She's following that flow. That's where she's going to find probably all kinds of really cool stuff and opportunities and things she never even dreamt of, right? Whatever it may be, but you got to get through the fear. And that's why fear is such a big topic, right? As we're shifting, we want to get rid of all these things on the planet. And that's why really with my program coming up, What's Fear Got to Do with It? I want to tackle this, and I want us to begin to release this, to step into our higher expressions, and to really be able to trust and love not only ourselves, but each other and the planet and the universe, right? All these things that just feel so much bigger than us, and we get lost in it, and we're meant for so much more. Sometimes we just don't see it. Yeah, so Michelle said, yes, that's what I've been doing. Just keep moving even though I am feeling scared. Yes, just keep moving, right? And have support from people who can help you through it, that you can talk it out, right? You can feel the awareness and the fear, but just move through it.
Did you want to take some questions, comments from Facebook, or I want to make sure you make it through your presentation?
Yeah, I've got one more key. So let's do it after this next one. So the last key is choose to trust and love. And it sounds like, oh, okay, I choose that. Well, yes, but sometimes we're so lost in this acuteness of fear, and it becomes chronic. And so if fear has become chronic, right, it doesn't feel easy to move through. And it's meant to be very instinctive, that gut hit, right? Just like I've mentioned, if you have a splenic authority, it's in the moment. But if we've let fear totally take over, and it's everywhere, right? And kids are amazing because they're the closest thing to God and source energy, and they're already trusting and faithful, and they are so innocent and pure, and they can have fun, right? And it's us parents that are like, don't do that. You might get hurt. Kids don't have that fear. And once they do get hurt, right, a big part of how they handle that fear is based on our reaction. If they see us cringing and, oh no, and you got hurt, and right, it already influences their way of locking that mode in their mind of how fear feels, how to react to it. Oh gosh, what if this comes up again? So to transcend fear, we really want to move into trusting and having more of this emotional energy that's more creative. It's where faith lives in the chart. What can you do in the moment of fear? So I've just got a few different things that can help you to just recognize, right? Like when you're in fear, you're in fight or flight. And so your body is probably stressing out, or you're stressed. So breathing into your belly, right? Making sure that you have those nice deep breaths in your belly and that you're not shallow breathing from your chest. You can sit down, you can lie down, you can close your eyes, whatever is going to help you to just calm, to center. Maybe you count. Chanting is beautiful because that's how you really start to tell yourself, right? I am excited. And that's the other side of fear. Your mind doesn't know the difference between fear and excitement. So in those moments when you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous, you can actually start telling yourself, I'm excited. And start really leaning into that energy, because excitement, right? It feels very similar to being nervous and having butterflies in the stomach. I am safe, because maybe there's a part of you that's afraid and you really don't feel safe. I can do this. I love you, right? Talk to yourself. Tell yourself these higher vibrational qualities of energy rather than feeling and being stuck in more of the lower vibration. And of course, to bring energy and attention to your heart, you can place your hands on your heart and send yourself love and trust. What does trust look like in your body? You're going to have more of this slower heart rate, right? When you're stressed out, it's crazy, it's erratic. But when you're calmer, you're just, you're feeling good. Maybe there's even that blissful feeling. There's safety involved. Maybe you're more loose and limber and it doesn't feel like your shoulders are like up to your ears, but that there's just this extra flexibility, that you really are confident and relaxed. And even if you're not feeling that, when you can get your body in that same space as if you are, that's how you start really shifting the energy to tell your body physically, like, we're confident, we are relaxed, we're okay. And you can experience gratitude and see and feel the love. And so this is when your parasympathetic nervous system is activated. You are in rest and digest. You are calm. And anytime you're in fear, you're more likely to be in that stressed out situation, which if you're living there chronically all the time, this is going to be huge, right? To begin pulling into your body, really trusting and knowing what this feels like versus what it feels like in fear. Because once you can discern the difference, now you've got a place to move and go. Now you know where you want to be. So I want to add that the sensing circuit, this is not fear-based. Fear doesn't live in this circuit. So just notice that, okay? So this is about holistic thinking and possibilities. When we're in fear, we don't see possibility. So to pull yourself out of that, right? Move into understanding and starting to play with and dance with this other circuit, this other side of the collective circuit, and understanding how to dream, have some adventure, feel your emotions and that creative energy and force that comes through. This is where we have more of the faith and trusting even coming through of this energy. And it's all about experience and learning and stories and being able to really move into this. This helps to overcome fear. We also have the centering circuit that also does not touch the spleen. So this is where there's more direction and empowerment, and we're surrendering and transcending, right, from the love of your heart, this lovability space, and having all of this energy that you can tap into, right, when you feel fear. That there's these other ways of tapping into that higher vibrational quality to help you overcome fear. We want to choose to trust and love. And as I've mentioned, we live in this place of duality. That's just what's here on the planet. And we think there's only two ways, right? We can either be in fear or be in trust. And we really want to just kind of break that up. But I want you to switch the order, because we've been living in fear, and I implore you to let go of living in fear and choose to live in trust, right? It's a different mindset. It's a different awareness that once you start to have this, you'll notice when you would have chosen some fear in the past, how you're beginning to lean more into choosing to trust. And then the coolest part is that fear is just one center away from the heart of who you are. Love conquers fear. So these are the two heart pieces in human design. And it's just a stone throw, right? A channel away, or it's right nearby, that it's that close for you to be able to shift and transcend fear into love, and let love be the way, right, to conquer it. Because faith transforms fear. And it's not about everything turning out okay. It's having the faith that you're going to be okay no matter how things turn out. That's a different perspective, and that's a different way of viewing. Because if we hold to these expectations, then we become afraid that they don't happen. But if we just trust, right, that this is generally, I want to be of service, I want to spread love, whatever it may be, then you get to allow the universe to play into whatever's supposed to happen for you. Jamie says, could it be more difficult to shift that fear into faith if you have a completely open G center? No. No, you're just going to be able to experience love and direction through others, but that's not going to make it that much harder to change fear into faith, because faith is other parts of the chart as well. There's emotional energy. And again, it's the experiences that bring you these different energies that you get to explore to help you learn what it looks like for you. Because these are just tips and ideas and possibilities for you to explore. It's not going to work for everybody. Everybody's in a different story. Everybody's in a different place. So just to recap the 3 keys to aligning with trust and love: acknowledge that fear gets in the way, change your vibration, and then choose to trust and love. And I'll take a couple quick comments, questions.
Okay. The first question that came in was from Paige. When a center is defined, how does it interact with the open gates? So say you have a defined spleen, but you have the gate 44 and 18 open. How does that interact?
So you're going to already have kind of your fixated way of experiencing the spleen and those particular defined energy gates. The ones that are open or not necessarily defined, you're still going to be able to feel from others, maybe not as strongly, but you could still be conditioned by others, right? You may not have noticed that somebody keeps bringing in one of these other fear energies that are not yours consistently, but it still may flavor the experience or how you really get to feel those energies.
Comment from Sue: this presentation is priceless. Thank you so much. May we all be written in the book of life for a new year of love, peace, good health, and goodwill. Shabbat Shalom. And Paige has another question. What can I do to raise the frequency of issues in the direction that they need to shift on a national scale?
Keep sending love, right? We think that we're just one person in 8 billion people, but it's that energy and that frequency. If we're constantly sending out the fear and the hate and the anger, right? And this happens in politics, but that just divides more. It just adds more to the lower vibration. Even if there's somebody that you don't necessarily like in a position, send them love, because they're doing the best they can. They're going through their own experiential journey or evolution, and we're all one. So we tend to think that somebody is not who we are, but we're very much the same. We're just living in different bodies and having different experiences, but we all have these same energies. Some are more flagrant than others, or maybe not as aligned. But the more that you can just tune in and want to be the vibration of what you want to see in the world, that helps to really shift it. And people will notice that. And maybe you start spreading your light and reaching certain people and having them be part of that. That's how we all shift.
I just have 2 more comments. Pam mentions, I have the 48 conscious and unconscious in Mercury, and she thanks you for making it sound so simple. And Paige's last comment was, in that case, anyone harnessing and weaponizing fear is a large-scale liar.
Yeah, because guess what? They're probably more fearful than you are. And we use fear as a tactic to get people to be manipulated, to control them, and it's not working anymore. And the more that you can't control the masses, right, the more they're going to put more fear out there. And I see it all the time. I don't really follow the news, but I see it in medicine. I see it in the scare tactics of you better, take your shot, or you better take this pill. And the question for me is always why? Why is it so important? If we can really truly trust and love and heal our bodies and ourselves, why do we need this? So what's the underlying current, right? And it's usually because there's a fear of you won't be able to control the masses, or fear of whatever it may be. But when you don't fall into that anymore, right, it doesn't hold power over you. And that's the really important piece, right? And so I just want to invite you to check out my What's Fear Got to Do with It Sun Activation Program. This is a program that I run every fall. So it begins October 1st and goes through November 19th. And ultimately, this is a program for you that if you're tired of the fear tactics and you're ready to let go of financial fears, feeling like you're stuck and you can't move through these dreams that you have, and you're ready to move forward, then this is the program for you, where we can literally be together for 8 weeks, going through the fear gates together, not just as let's talk about them, but hey, we're living them and experiencing them as they're happening, and what are these energies influencing and creating for you? Where do you feel stuck? How can you transcend and shift and change the vibration so that, yes, you're learning about the 7 gates, but I couldn't create a program where we just talk fear. I had to also leave you in a place where you're more empowered. So in the end part of Scorpio, we get more into those empowering energies of the gate 1, which is all about you being your creative contribution in the world. The gate 43, where you're really learning to trust your knowingness and this insight that's here to help you break through. And then the gate 14, which is this knowingness of how to create resources, be able to be powerful and having these skills and this ability to get out and affect change in the world. So these are live classes offered, will be on Zoom. If you cannot make a class, you have access to the recordings. There's a class page where we'll go through that. But this is experiential. We're going to be going through these transiting get energies together. We danced a little bit in some circuitry. I touched on a little bit of the higher expression of the fear gate energies, but we're also going to be looking at the centers and the circuitries and really having you understand the depth and beauty of what's in human design, what's in the spleen. And as you're really coming through it, right, I'm here to support you. We have a community together growing and helping to overcome so we can transcend fear, create more of this trust and love and higher consciousness to put this energy out into the universe, onto the planet, so we can be shifting. So you can register for this program at alanaheim.com, ALANAHEIM.com. And right now, if you register by the 26th, you're going to get support. So you'll have access to my September calendar that I already gave you, but you'll get the full calendar. You'll get a meditation. You'll get access to a Facebook group where we're going to be learning through units to help kind of organize how the program, like how we're going through each gate for you to be able to ask questions, get support. You'll get some videos. So all these things to help you before the fear energy starts, because the program starts October 1st. But as I mentioned, starting on September 17th, we already have some fear energies that are going to be activated. So even before class, right, there's going to be some things that are going to start to show up. So the intention of the program is really to get you to be the rising champion. Instead of seeing yourself as defeated and not taking action and feeling stuck, that you're really rising above the fear, that you're feeling like you can do anything, trusting that you can. So you can register at alanaheim.com. And the investment for this program is $297. There is a 3-part payment of $109 per month. And I know we're at time, so I'm just going to kind of skip ahead. For me, I'm here to hold value and teach what value looks like. And I'm not going to go through the fear tactics of hurry up and jump in and get this or, get a price discount. So ultimately, I have fast action taker bonuses that when you sign up by September 26th, you'll gain access to this extra service, love, and support. The reason I do have a date is because the bonus call for the support, there's a 90-minute live call where we can jump in and be together for 90 minutes. I am giving you my client-only money archetype quiz. It's a 51-question quiz. So I want you to have that ahead of time, because if you want to talk about that in the support call, you can. We can talk money. We can talk about financial fear frequencies, which we will do in the program, and I didn't do today. But having that financial background, I love bringing in the financial abundance and the money piece and where we can feel fearful around that. And then I also, for love, I have a $37 coupon that you can get also that can be applied towards one of my programs, or one of the consulting sessions if you feel like you need private support. So I have all of this as additional value that I can offer while you get it or need it before the program or during the program. And so any other options? I was an expert on the Heal Your Pain Expert Series. I gave a value discount, but only to those listeners. So if you absolutely want to have more of a price point break, then to hold value, I only gave that price to those people, those listeners, but you can still listen in, you can still register for that particular event. And the hosts just extended. They're just gonna give you free access to all 21 experts through October 31st. So pretty cool. That way you have plenty of time and you can listen and you can get that if that's what you decide. So I just wanna leave you with, fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. And that's from Jedi Master Yoda. So let's transcend fear, because this is not what we want. We've lived here for all of humanity, right? And we're over it. It's time for us to choose trust and love and this higher consciousness. So you're invited to join in the program. I'll make sure that Cindy and Karen's team gets the links and we'll be able to share that. But I'm so grateful for you being here today. And if you want to come fly with me, right, I got to use my Adventurous 36 gate and go skydiving. I totally was not afraid. It was like exhilarating, more possibility and fun for me. So if you want to join, you want to learn more, I implore you, please reach out, let me know, and I'm so thankful for you. So again, thank you for being here, and I will see you soon. All right, bye.